to be doing a Nearpod today. The code is here in the corner. So today we're going to be talking about community helpers. We have been talking about community helpers for a couple days now, and we are going to move on to the next part of learning about community helpers. So at this point I would be looking at the teacher version, but I'm going to do it through the student view so that you can see what the students would see. Since I'm doing a mock lesson. Okay. So while we're waiting for some of your friends to join, you guys are going to be working on a matching assignment. So I want you to take a look at the picture and do your best to match it to the correct community helper. The word is on the right side and the picture is on the left. While we're waiting for our friends, this is what we will be doing until everyone joins. I will read the words on the right hand side for you in case you're having a little bit of trouble. So the first one says veterinarian. Which picture shows a veterinarian? You can go ahead and match that up. The next one says scientist. I'm going to just go through these a little bit fast so that way I can go to the next portion of the lesson. Again, since it's a mock. Police officer, mail carrier, pizza maker, mayor, barber, and nurse. So at this point, students would be using their tools to do a matching activity. They would be matching the picture to the vocabulary word here on the side of the community helper. I would be watching for student progress on this. On the teacher version, I can see live updates, so I'm able to make corrections and observe whether students have an understanding of community helpers and what they might look like, what they might be wearing, or what tools they might have already in their hand. Okay. So we are going to go over our lesson objectives. Let's go ahead and shout out our we can and we wills. I'm going to read them first, and then you can go ahead and repeat after me. If you feel like you can read it on your own, awesome, even better. So we can and we will. Ask questions about community helpers. We can and we will. Identify the tools that community helpers use to do their job. We can and we will. Understand how community helpers make our community better and safer. Some of the vocabulary words that we're going to be hearing today, saying, seeing in the books and videos are these. You can repeat after me, or if you want to try reading it on your own, you can whisper read it as well. Community. Go ahead and repeat after me. Community. Community helpers. Tools. Helper. Kindness. Respect. These are just some of the words that you might hear today, again, as we're talking, as we're reading and watching videos. Our essential question for today is, what are the duties, uniforms, responsibilities, and tools community helpers use? So as we go along, as we go through the lesson, I want you to keep this question in mind and think to yourself, what are they doing? What are they wearing? What's their job? What do they need to do their job? Keep this question in your brain as we read and as we learn more about community helpers. Oops, sorry. Okay. So on this one, that is not able, let me just open the teacher version again so you can see what would be here. It's a video that I would be sharing with my students because we are e-learning and I don't have all the resources I would if we were in person, what I would normally do is put the book on mute. So I would press play, put the book on mute, and then I would just read myself. So I won't read the whole story just because it would take up the whole entire time for the video, but I would just read along as the video is playing so that my students have interaction with me versus just listening to the story be read to them. Okay, how do I go back? Sorry, doing everything online is a little bit tricky. So back to the student view. After watching this video that goes over community helpers, where students might see them if they have before or maybe even haven't, what their duties are, what they might be wearing, what tools they use, I would have a collaborate board. So this would be our version of a chart. Again, we're using Nearpod, so everything is just a little bit different than it would be if we were in the classroom. The question is, who is a community helper that you know about? What do they do and what tools do they use? So students would be using this box down here. They can upload pictures, they can type, and we would just be answering all these questions at once and building off one another. Normally my students are off mute for this and kind of shouting out their answers as we're reading, and I'm reaffirming the choices that they made to put up, the pictures, kind of giving them that confidence boost that they need to keep posting and answering questions. Let's chat. So we will be explaining the different community helpers that we know and learned about. We will describe what they do and what tools they use. So guys, after we watched the video and after we shared our answers from the board, some of you guys learned about new community helpers. Some of you learned about the tools that they use, where and how they might use them. So let's keep talking about it. A community is a group of people living in the same area. A community could be your neighborhood, city, or a group that you are in. Community helpers are people who work in the community to help others. On the following slideshow, you're going to learn about some common community helpers. That means community helpers that you might see in different places. Then, you will complete an activity identifying community helpers. So the first activity you're going to complete with your tools is look at the picture and circle the community helpers. Find any community helpers and use your drawing tool to circle. On the bottom half it says, look at each picture. Choose what each person is. So during this time, students would have a couple minutes to complete this. I'm able to see their live participation. I would be, again, doing what I did during the collaborate board, kind of shouting them out as we go, helping correct them. This top portion has been made a little bit easier for my students who are still working towards reading. The bottom portion has a section with vocabulary words that my higher students might enjoy that push and that extra extension for. Now we're going to be talking about tools. That's the big part of our question today is what tools do they use? In a community, there are many different jobs. Each is important for different reasons. Some jobs provide food, learning, or help people who are sick. Each job has certain tools. Tools are the equipment needed to complete a job or a task. On the following slideshow, you will read about different tools that are important for community helpers to do their job. So we would read these pages, kind of going over some of the tools. And I won't go over all of this just because it would take a lot of time for the mock lesson. So now what you guys are going to do is you're going to be drawing a line from the community helper to their tools, and then from the tools you're going to draw a line for what each community helper does. So think about all of the ones that we learned about, ones that you might recognize from your own neighborhood, the ones we just learned about from the videos. I will help you with this first one. So, oops. All right, let's start down here. I am looking at my friend who looks like he has a fire extinguisher. He's got some kind of coat on, a protective gear. Who could that be? He's got a cap on. Yeah, you're right, a firefighter. I see a fire truck and that makes sense to me. I know that a firefighter, because I learned today that he has to wear protective gear to keep him safe. He uses a fire extinguisher to help put out small fires or big fires. Now, let's look at this fire truck. What do they do here? Which job looks like a firefighter and the fire truck would be best for? Yeah, I see that here, and I could even see kind of like a little hat. They're putting out a fire. So I'm just going to drag my line from there to there. Now you try the rest of them. So after completing this activity, again, I can see students' live participation and help correct and make any necessary changes as we're going along. We're going to proceed to the end of lesson activity. These small activities are embedded just to kind of keep their brain fresh, keep images in their head, keep the conversation going. Our community helper activity. On the next page, you will find a worksheet for you to complete. You will be telling me about the community helper that you chose. You may use the resources that follow to choose from one of the community helper sources that I listed, or you can choose one of your own that's not on the list that I put. You can use Get Epic, you can use YouTube, you can use Scholastic. Use any of your resources to help you answer and fill out your worksheet. So on the next slide, you're going to see your Draw It tool, so you'll be able to draw a picture here. You can record your responses with your voice, or if you feel like you're up for the challenge, I would love to see your writing. So I'll go over this with you before we start. It says, my community helper. My community helper is a blank. A blank helps the community by blank. In order to do their job, the tools a blank needs are blank. Another thing I learned about blank is that blank. So you're going to be filling these in. Let me show you what it would look like. So Miss Lori is not very good at drawing, but I am going to try my best. I'm going to choose my favorite color, and I'm going to give you an example of what yours should look like. So my community helper is a vet. I'm going to try my best to write. So you can use your drawing tool, or you can use your text box tool. There we go. Let me make it a little bit smaller. A vet helps the community by making sick animals feel better. So then I would just grab my moving tool and put that here. Making sick animals feel better. Vets are awesome. I love vets. In order to do their job, the tools a vet, I can use my drawing tool again, my coloring one. In order to do their job, the tools a vet needs are, and then I would just start making a list of my tools. So just like a doctor, vets have similar tools. What are some of the tools that we've seen in the video? So they use, this word is tricky, so if you don't know how to spell it, that's okay. You can record. Oh, Miss Lorraine doesn't even know how to spell it. A stethoscope. a stethoscope. We might need a scale to weigh the animal. We probably need some dog treats to keep them calm. There are lots of things that vets need to help keep their animals feeling better. Let me put this down. Another thing I learned about vets, using my drawing tool, is that, and then I would fill this out, have myself draw a picture just to model for students what this portion looks like. Again, I provided primary sources for students. There are interviews. These books are real accounts and real accounts of what police officers do, their uniform, the places that we might find them. So I provided police officers. Oh, I skipped one. Firefighters. Crossing guards. And then I shared the same book that we read in the beginning of the story, Community Helpers, so that they can go back and look at that if they need to. Again, students are able to choose their own community helper that is not provided here, and they have the resources to get to or to help answer questions regarding any other community helper they might have chosen. I shared with them that they can use Epic, YouTube, Scholastic, and all those great resources.